Welcome to Totally Integrated Instrumentation. Today we're going to have a look at a Siemens Compact Filed Unit. A Compact Filed Unit is a device that converts Profibus PA into Profinet. So it's slightly different to the terminology that we're used to, where we have a Profibus DP to PA converter. So we have to refresh our memory. There is a blog that I've done discussing Profibus PA and DP, so I'll put the link in this blog. But if we just refresh our memories on what we got to do, so we have a device converting Profibus DP to PA, and that has to sit in a cabinet, normally in a safe area, and then we use the high-powered trunk concept, either with one line or a redundant ring, to connect to boxes called active field distribution boxes. So during the design stage, we have rules here for the connections to the instruments that we call spurs, the amount of instruments, the current they draw, and the length of the trunk, but also the amount of current that we can output via this coupler device. And then the header module here has a memory limit of 244 bytes. So we have to make sure that we design within those limitations. And we also have to make sure that on our network design drawing we show all of those items, like cable lengths, positioning, and also on that drawing, ideally we want to know the address of each one of these instruments, okay, because Profibus PA devices are by default shipped with an address of 126. Of course, you can change that. A lot of manufacturers like Siemens, you can, for instance, purchase it pre-addressed and pre-tagged with a stainless steel label on there as well. So as long as you put it in the right place, everything will be okay. But normally, they're by default, like I say, the address is 126. So that's the design stage. During the commissioning stage, we have to program the instruments, and we also need to set the address of the instruments. Now that is nice and easy if the instruments have got displays or dip switches, as long as you can get to the instruments. We know that during the commissioning stage, for any plants that for instance, if you've got a level radar, you might not be able to go on top of the tank yet, but it's all wired up. So you can use tools. PDM is one of the tools that you can use. The other issue you have, if you have simple Profibus PA devices, maybe a simple temperature probe or something like a VA meter, a low-cost flow meter on Profibus PA, these have no displays, and some of them have no dip switches. So you do need software to configure the address of those devices. Now the problem is if you've got these already wired up and powered up, you're going to have to disconnect all of the ones that you're not sure about, connect one at a time here, for instance, and set the address, and then move on to the next one. If you've got a small to average job with 50 odd instruments on, that could take a good day of commissioning time, just getting the addresses and the network up and running. And the last stage is once the site is up and running. So, and this is quite common. You need to add to the site. You need to add another production vessel. The distribution part of the plant needs to be, an extra filling line needs to be added, or something like that. So that's fine. The active field distribution box we can add and it automatically terminates, but we still have to go back to our original network design and make sure that these instruments will actually work to our original rules. So 244 bytes, current draw, spurs, trunk length, and that's normally what's not done. Okay, we need to get that plant up and running, and we've put it on, and a lot of the times you can get away with it until you add something else on at a later date, and then you start to have network issues. So what we've got to do is try and find a solution that is a lot more stable and simplifies Profibus PA, takes away all of these issues with network design. If we have a look at your plant, there's various things you've got to do. So here we've got an operator station, maintenance station, engineering station, all connected via Ethernet down to my automation station. This might be a 410 automation station, and then out of here we've got our Profibus DP cable, which is purple, connected to various forms of remote I/O. So here we have some standard I/O, milliamps maybe, with some safety I/O. We need to go out to junction boxes in the field. Well, Profibus PA simplifies that for us a little bit. So it's one cable, again, our trunk out to our AFDs, but the PA DP link needs to sit in a cabinet. So we need 24 volts and a cabinet somewhere in a safe area. When we come down to the AFDs, we still have to follow our network design. So we've already highlighted the issues there. What we're trying to do is bring Profinet into the field, and that's what the Compact Filed Unit does. So it supports media ring redundancy. Not really showing it on here, it is just a sketch, but we take our Ethernet cable out, which has got Profibus on it, so Profibus over Ethernet is called Profinet. The only weakness we have here is the first runner cable to the first device is 100 meters, and then to the next device is 100 meters. So in some circumstances we may have to go to fiber if the connection to our first Compact Filed Unit is further away than 100 meters. But once we're in the field, as long as each one of these is within 100 meters, then we can keep adding to it within the limitations of Ethernet wiring. So we don't need another cabinet now. Each one of these comes in its own enclosure, which is designed to work in harsh environments. So there's no design there. Okay. Once we're out into the field, we'll just have a look at some of the things that this addresses, the Compact Filed Unit. So the first thing that it does is it automatically addresses the instruments. So what we don't have now, we don't have a Profibus PA network, we just have individual Profibus PA connections that can go up to 120 meters for each device. So one device on each connection, 8 Profibus PA devices on one Compact Filed Unit. When you plug your Profibus PA device into connection 1, it sets the address to 20, and connection 8, it sets the address to 27. It speeds up commissioning because I no longer have to get a network drawing out. As long as I've plugged it into the right hole, it's going to have the right address. If I need to add a device at a later date, as long as I have a spare port on my Compact Filed Unit, as soon as I add my device, first thing it does is automatically addresses. So the last case is probably the most awkward, is when you've got a failed instrument. Nice feature on the Compact Filed Unit on PCS7, and when you're using it on PLCs with the GSD-ML, is uses generic GSDs. So any manufacturer of instrumentation that supplies a device profile 3 and above is compatible with generic GSDs. So really, you don't need to put the manufacturer's GSD into your project. You shouldn't be tied down to that manufacturer. If you're not happy with the product that they're supplying, it allows you to move the way and use something else as long as it's profile 3 or above. So if you can get hold of manufacturer A, B or C quicker, as long as it's profile 3 or above, you can take that device out and replace it. It will automatically address, it will automatically switch over to inside the device to the correct GSD profile. That's part of the Profibus PA standard, that it should do that. But just be wary, some devices and manufacturers try and force you to use their GSD, so you have to go into the parameter set and set it to look for a profile specific GSD. But anything above profile 3, can't say it enough, will work with generic GSDs. So now you have the flexibility of changing your devices. It may even be that you're using an ultrasonic non-contact level sensor and there's vapor in the vessel and you need to change that to a radar. You can do that quite easily with this compact field unit. So if we have a look at the old solution, which is still currently available, sorry, I shouldn't have called it old, we're using our DP to PA couplers on a redundant ring, and to do that we need to use the active backplane, and then we're coming out to an AFD with 8 channels. So this is the box in the field, and this box here, this DIN rail arrangement, has to sit in a cabinet somewhere in a safe area. So if we have a look at the components, there's more components there, there's more wiring, there's more time, and of course, as I keep saying, you've got the cabinet that you have to build to house these Profibus DP to PA converters. So if we look at the compact field unit supports media redundancy, so that's on the Profinet side. I don't need a cabinet, I can come straight from my PLC or my automation station into this and wire it as a redundant ring, and then I have my 120 meter spurs off to each instrument. So if we have a look at the bundle, there's a compact field unit Profibus PA bundle, aluminium housing, so you get everything you need in one housing, and that can be a cost saving of up to 25% compared to your conventional method of installing it. And we're not really taking into account there things like the hassle you can have with addressing instruments, the hidden costs. This is, cost savings that you can see during the design stage, not the hidden costs when everything goes wrong. So we have a look at the compact field unit. As I said, 120 meter spur lengths. We've mentioned simplified commissioning, so because it self-addresses, and anything that PDM does with the instruments is not affected by the GSD you use as well. So that's really important. So you can use the generic GSD, but you don't have to use a generic EDD for PDM or Packware or field care, whatever you're using. You can still use the manufacturer EDD file, so you get the full functionality there. Plug and produce is the trademark that Siemens has, so we can plug the device in and we're up and running really quick because we have the automatic addressing and the generic GSDs. And we've mentioned the easy field device replacement. This really is one of the weaknesses of the conventional Profibus PA system, where you're using a manufacturer GSD in your hardware config. So we've all been there. Working for Siemens, and we got a brand new pressure transmitter. It does all of this stuff. You put it into your project, and then the supplier of the instrument says, "Well, you need a new GSD." And if you haven't got something like configuration in run, which the Compact Field Unit also supports, by the way, then you'll have to download that new GSD into your PLC or your automation station, and a lot of times you have to put that into stop. So you're actually waiting for some planned shutdown so you can just change an instrument, which is ridiculous. So if we have a look at the history of the Compact Field Unit, the CFU came out in 2017. It is for use in zone 2 or 22 gas. Zone 2 does 22. That is probably its big limitation at the moment. We are waiting for the hazardous area version to come out, and I'm sure when that does, there'll be the conventional Profibus DP to PA will really start to die off, because the advantages that you can have plug and produce with this product. So I think it was towards the end of last year. Another version came out. If you have a look up here on the Profibus PA, the other nice thing is you've got 8 digital I/O, so input outputs. They're freely configurable. That works nicely. A nice example there might be you might have a little tank farm, so you can have 8 of the Profibus PA radars going in, and if you just want a high-level switch as a backup, then you could bring that into the digital. So you've got some nice features there. But this newer version is purely digital I/O, configurable digital inputs outputs. Okay, so this will grow. This series of Compact Field Units. I mean, I put 2020 there, but the future, anything's possible. But really, the next one we're waiting for is the hazardous area version. Some of the things, it's all available on the site, the support site, the GSD ML for TIA portal. It's already in the PCS7 library, so if you're using PCS7 version 9, it will be in there, so you don't have to worry about going looking for it. It uses Profibus PA standard profiles, and these aren't Siemens, by the way. Siemens haven't written these. These are the standard Profibus International profiles. Okay, so if you go onto Profibus International and look for the generic profiles, you will find them on there, and they're no different to what we're using on the Compact Field Unit. The digital inputs are freely configurable. I haven't tested the counter functionality, so I'm not too sure what frequency it could go up to. So we'll have a look at that in another blog, I suppose, and see how that works. The I/O can be disabled. So this is the Profibus PA connections here. Okay, sorry, I think this is in German. You can turn these on and off. Another nice feature that the Compact Field Unit has, which I forgot to explain, is each one of these, every time you put your device in for the first time, it monitors the current and the voltage, so it knows how much that length of cable and the instrument is drawing to function. It then puts by default a 20% limit on that. So if you start to get water ingress or cabling issues or damaged cables that can be causing the voltage to change, or even a faulty instrument, then you'll get a warning on the Compact Field Unit, and that will come all the way through to your DCS and to PDM as well. So in really easy to understand, text format. Okay, another nice thing with TIA portal, because it sits on Profinet, you can upgrade the firmware of the Compact Field Unit. Now I do need to do that on mine, so when I do it, I'll record a video so you can all see how it's done. And the device diagnostics, again, they come through on PCS7, but sorry, I haven't got a screen for that. This is TIA portal. You can change the name of the device here, and that's what you'll get displayed on the front of your S7 1500 PLC. We're showing it on TIA portal, but because it's got a GSD-ML, really it's any PLC that supports Profinet will be able to have one of these devices on. This I only recently found out about. I've known about Pronator for a while, but I normally use it for scanning a network to tell me what's on there, and then as you can see here, I can change the IP address, but more importantly with Profinet we need to be able to assign the name. That's unique to Profinet, this name, so when it connects to the PLC it's not just looking at the IP address, it's looking at the device name as well. But the nice thing is it actually brings back the diagnostics of the Compact Field Unit, so you can see here wire break on Profibus PA on FB slot 2. So quite a nice powerful tool if you're not connected to a DCS or a PLC. You can connect all of your instruments up to the Compact Field Unit. They'll automatically address, they'll start assigning the generic GSDs, and you'll have the diagnostics on that channel. There's another screenshot here. So this is showing you the digital inputs. I believe you can't do any configuration with Pronator on the digital and the Profibus signals, because you don't really want to override the connection to the DCS or the PLC. That would be quite dangerous, but as a diagnostic tool it's fantastic. And another mention here, PDM can do this as well. What Pronator can't do, it can't give you the diagnostics of the instruments, it will just give you the diagnostics of the connection. So if you want to drill down into the diagnostics of the instrument, you still need Profibus, Semantic PDM. So there's a Compact Field Unit. I'm pretty sure I've talked about everything I need to talk about. So what we're saying here, up to 70% less terminations, and cabling is reduced by 30%, and your overall mechanical costs could be reduced by up to 24%. Really the proof is in the use of it. So have a look yourself, spec one up, and have a go at designing your plans. But we have been using these out in the field with Siemens, and we're already seeing these cost savings. So this one here, time to device integration. So it doesn't sound much, but if you're having to integrate a device and find the GSD, I mean 30 minutes is optimistic. It's probably going to take longer than that if you don't know where to find the GSD from. We've all been there. But if you've got 50 devices, this time can start to stack up. If you're using the plug and produce, 1 minute to get that device transmitting its data to the DCS or the PLC. Now the other thing we haven't looked at, of course, because this is Profinet, it's a lot quicker than Profibus DP to PA. So I'll do a video on this where I'll have a look at a network, the older style network and the Compact Field Unit, because when you're using PDM it speeds up the uploads and downloads for each instrument. So again, that could be a big saving. If you tie into that, if you're using Siemens instruments with the Quick Start Wizards that can help with commissioning, we can bundle all this together, and you've got some real big savings on using Profibus PA Compact Field Units. So that's me finished. I'm hoping it was useful. Just a quick introduction to the Compact Field Unit. If you need any more information, please give me a bell on the number you can see on the screen, or drop me a message on my YouTube channel, and I'll be more than willing to come and show you this, and so you can see the real benefits live.